Today we're looking at the library of the world's best mystery and detective stories, a collection brought to us by Julian Hawthorne. This isn't just a series of puzzles to be solved, but rather a study of how human passion and the masks we wear can lead to absolute ruin. The stories here lean more toward the tragic and the fatalistic than the clinical logic we often see in modern detective fiction. The collection opens with a piece by Guy de Maupassant called The Necklace, which serves as a perfect introduction to the book's obsession with appearance and reality. We meet Mathilde Loisel, a woman who feels she's been born into the wrong life. She's married to a modest clerk, and while her life is comfortable enough, she spends her days in a state of quiet, simmering resentment. She believes she was meant for high society, for elegance, and for the kind of luxury that her husband simply can't provide. When her husband manages to secure an invitation to a prestigious ball at the ministry, Mathilde doesn't see it as a treat, but as a crisis. She can't bear the thought of appearing poor among wealthy women. After some pleading and a bit of borrowing, she acquires a magnificent diamond necklace from a wealthy friend, Madame Forestier. For one night, Mathilde is the center of the universe. She's the most beautiful woman in the room, and for a few hours she feels she's finally achieved her true social station. But the story suggests that this peak of glory is the beginning of a long, steep fall. The narrative implies a catastrophic consequence to that night, setting a tone for the rest of the collection. The idea that the things we use to project a certain image to the world can often become the very things that destroy us. As we move deeper into the collection, the focus shifts to a much more complex and interconnected mystery. This story is told through the eyes of a narrator named Philip, and it begins in 1844. Philip is traveling by stagecoach when he meets a beautiful widow. She's striking, but there's something hollow about her. She tells him that her heart died long ago because of a deception in love. She's a woman who seems to be drifting through life, guarded and emotionally distant. Later, Philip visits a man named Judge Zarco. Zarco is a shell of a man, a recluse who has spent years mourning a lost love named Blanca. Just before they were supposed to be married, Blanca vanished without a trace, leaving Zarco broken and cynical. He's a man of the law, but he's been defeated by a mystery he can't solve. The plot takes a dark, physical turn when Zarco and Philip are walking through a cemetery. Zarco discovers something gruesome, a skull with an iron nail driven straight through it. This isn't just a random act of violence, it's a revelation. The skull belongs to a man named Don Alfonso Gutierrez Romeral. To the public, Don Alfonso had died of natural causes, but the nail proves he was murdered in a brutal fashion. The prime suspect is his wife, Gabriela, but she's already disappeared. As the story unfolds in Granada, Philip encounters that same mysterious widow from the stagecoach. He now knows her name is Mercedes de Meridanueva. She's still guarded, and she tells him she's preparing to leave the city. Meanwhile, Judge Zarco experiences a sudden, dizzying shift in his fortunes. He receives a message from a woman claiming to be his lost love, Blanca. She tells him that their separation wasn't a betrayal, but a tragic misunderstanding. For a moment, Zarco is reborn. He believes the love of his life has returned to him, and he begins preparing for their marriage. But the joy is short-lived. The law catches up with the fugitive Gabriela Zahara, and she's arrested at the Hotel of the Lion. This is where the narrator, Philip, has a terrifying realization. He looks at the timeline, the locations, and the descriptions of the women, and he realizes that Gabriela, Blanca, and Mercedes are all the same person. The woman Zarco loves, the woman Philip met on the coach, and the woman who murdered her husband are one and the same. The climax takes place in a prison courtroom. It's a devastating scene. Gabriela stands accused of murder, and Judge Zarco is the one facing her. He's not just a judge in this moment, he's a man whose entire emotional world has been a lie. He presents the victim's skull as evidence, a stark reminder of the violence she's capable of. Gabriela doesn't deny the murder, she confesses, but she does so with a strange, haunting conviction. She claims she was coerced into the act by a man she truly loves. Even in the face of death, Gabriela refuses to name this mysterious lover. She chooses to protect him, knowing that her silence guarantees her own execution. It's a final act of tragic devotion. Judge Zarco, trapped between his love for her and his duty to the law, is in a state of total emotional collapse. He upholds the death sentence. As the day of the execution arrives, Zarco disappears entirely, unable to bear the weight of the truth. Philip is the only one left to accompany Gabriela to the scaffold. In her final moments, she asks Philip to deliver a message of love to her mysterious partner, leaving the identity of the man who drove her to these extremes as a haunting, unsolved mystery. When we step back and look at these stories together, a few major themes emerge. The most prominent is the tension between appearance and reality. In the first story, it's a borrowed necklace that creates a fake social identity. In the second, it's a series of aliases, Mercedes, Blanca, Gabriela, that allow a woman to navigate different worlds and hide a murderous secret. In both cases, the characters try to project an image that doesn't match their internal truth, and the gap between the two eventually swallows them whole. Then there's the destructive power of passion. In these stories, love isn't a saving grace. It's a catalyst for disaster. For Matilde, it's a passion for status and luxury. For Gabriela, it's a romantic devotion so absolute that it justifies murder and accepts death. The book suggests that when passion overrides reason or morality, it doesn't lead to fulfillment, but to a domino effect of tragedy. There's also a strong sense of fate and providence. There's a recurring motif that man proposes, but God disposes. The characters make plans, they create disguises, and they try to manipulate their lives. But they're always undone by chaotic, unforeseen connections. The fact that Philip happens to meet Mercedes on a stagecoach, or that Zarko happens to find that specific skull in a cemetery, feels less like a coincidence and more like a trap being sprung by fate. Finally, the collection explores the conflict between legal justice and human morality. Judge Zarko represents the law, but his personal agony shows that the law is often too blunt an instrument to handle the complexities of the human heart. Gabriela is legally a murderer, but emotionally she's a martyr for a love the reader never even gets to fully understand. The resolution isn't a satisfying case-closed moment, but a somber reflection on how the truth often arrives too late to save anyone. If we compare this to the more famous golden age of detective fiction, like the work of Agatha Christie, the difference is striking. Christie treated the mystery as a puzzle, a structural challenge where the goal was to find the one logical answer. Her detectives, like Hercule Poirot, used a clinical approach to strip away the lies. Julian Hawthorne's collection is different. He isn't interested in the puzzle as much as he's interested in the psychological toll of the secret. He doesn't want us to feel the satisfaction of a solved crime. He wants us to feel the weight of the tragedy. The stories in the library of the world's best mystery and detective stories don't offer easy answers or happy endings. Instead, they leave us with a lingering sense of dread and a reminder that the masks we wear to protect ourselves or to impress others can eventually become permanent. Whether it's a piece of fake jewelry or a fake identity, the cost of maintaining a lie is always higher than the characters are prepared to pay. By the time the truth comes out, the only thing left is the scaffold and the silence of a broken heart.